Hi all, I wanted to do a quick reaction video to the news I just read that MPs have passed new legislation on abortion in England and Wales. As you can see here, the BBC, I did a piece on this recently, is manipulating the public once again. Their headline is MPs vote to decriminalise abortion for women in England and Wales. It's already decriminalised up to 24 weeks. If you're aware of the abortion procedure, at 24 weeks, a baby is effectively just looks like a baby. It's conscious. It's completely appalling. When you look into abortions, if you haven't before, I suggest you do. And I think the silver lining to all of this is people will start to wake up to how horrible some of this stuff is. But anyway, the point is the BBC are obviously, they're leftists. They're very much in favour of this. But I wanted to cover this because I think it shows how, the liberal system loves to present itself as humane, but it's becoming increasingly inhumane. And for years, the abortion issue, the liberals have had total control over it. The people who are concerned by abortion are seen as wacky Christians who are so cruel and horrible. I personally am one of those wacky Christians. I do believe life is sacred. It begins at conception and so on, and you don't have a right to murder a baby. But most people don't think that way. Most people are secular. But the issue is for the liberal mainstream, like most things, they've pushed it so far that most people were on board with safe, legal and rare. Remember that in the 90s, safe, legal and rare. And most people, other than the Christians, were on board with that. Well, it's not safe, legal and rare anymore. We've got 250,000 abortions a year in the UK. That is not safe, legal and rare. Anyway, this is exactly the same trick they're trying to pull here, and they can't see it coming. Quoting the BBC here, MPs have voted to change abortion legislation to stop women in England and Wales being prosecuted for ending their pregnancy. Well, they weren't. Again, you've got 24 weeks already. We already have some of the most liberal rules in the world when it comes to abortion. And now basically what they say is women should be able to abort a pregnancy after that 24 weeks period, as long as they don't do it with a doctor, which is obviously completely brutal. On it goes, the Labour MP for Gower, Tonia Antianazzi, led the call to decriminalise the 1% of abortions that happened after 24 weeks, saying these were desperate women who need compassion, not criminalisation. Now, do I have to point this out? That 1% of abortion, that figure isn't going to stay the same when you make something legal. These leftists, these liberals, it drives me mad. It's why I speak a lot on the channel about boundaries and the importance of boundaries. And it's a very masculine role, that. And the reason is, what they don't realise, and the way the BBC are manipulating the public here, is that isn't going to stay 1%. No, you've legalised it. It's going to open the door to all sorts of backdoor abortions, all sorts of practices that are going to go around in the corners of the internet. That 1% is going to grow exponentially. And then will come the next conversation, well, we need to make it legal. So it will push that 24 weeks way up to God knows how far. And this is, again, they're just pushing this line as we get more and more and more inhumane. And I think, as I say, the silver lining is many of the normies out there are going to start to look into abortion and realise this is a deeply, deeply barbaric practice. 24 weeks, it's a baby. People survive at 24 weeks, in less than 24 weeks. But, we're killing these babies in the womb, and the process is absolutely brutal. And like I say, the one thing you can hope is people start looking into this and thinking, hang on a minute, this is all past and we haven't been aware of it. But one thing I wanted to say here, I guess a core of this video, is why does this happen? And I saw this picture somebody was posting on Twitter or X. And as you can see, this is many of our Labour front bench members, minus Keir Starmer. And look, this is who we're ruled by. Liberal, modern, upper middle class women, right on, doing it for compassion. But what they're really creating is a form of hell. And I just find the timing so ironic because, finally, after 15 years, these so compassionate women have decided to accept that the grooming gangs issue is real. Finally, after calling everyone evil and racist and horrible and sacrificing children for 15 years plus. Well, now they can't do that anymore. They've got to find a new angle where they can find a way to sacrifice children. Now, I know it's grand language I'm using, but what are we doing otherwise? It's like they just have this bloodlust to sacrifice children to Moloch. And they say they're doing it in the name of compassion. I don't really care who it upsets, but this is why I believe in patriarchy. You need firm boundaries, and yeah, it's hard to hold by firm boundaries, but it stops things slipping and getting out of control, which is where we're going to. And we need the energy of the wise father back. It's not to be cruel to people, it's to create a stable, healthy society. Whereas these people who pretend they're more compassionate than you, that are better than you, morally superior to you, it's all a front. It's all manipulation. These people are not better than you. Look at what they actually vote in. Look at what this will lead to. And again, if you're questioning this, mark my words. Once they pass this, watch how the conversation changes. That 1% is going to fly up. And then will come the conversation, well, we need to make it legal. Well, we need to make it certain timeframes will go up to 32 weeks or whatever else. And again, then you're just killing fully grown babies. We're basically already there anyway. Again, this is what happens when you move away from the sanity of your tradition, when you are controlled by these rational, humanistic feminists full of compassion and care, don't you know? Seems to me we're moving in, if we haven't already, to a very, very dark world. I do say on this channel, things will get darker and more degenerate the more we move into modernity, and it will come to you with the face of compassion and kindness, just like the grooming gangs issue. It's the same thing, just repeated in a different way, same dynamic. Of course, this is why I did start the sister channel, try and bring men especially back to their tradition, back to sanity, spiritual and personal revolution, realignment with the tradition, which is rooted in love fundamentally, which I often say isn't soppy-doppy when you properly understand it. It's justice, it's truth. Anyway, if you are interested, check it out down below. Other than that, do let me know your thoughts in the comments about this.